Chapter 1 Archgate Studios. Mireya was walking down the hall with a quick stack of papers. When she passed by the break room of Archgate Studios, she stopped in her tracks. Two voices were coming from the break room, a guy and a girl, arguing over lyrics or something. She wasn't normally one to get into confrontation, but that seemed urgent enough to warrant her to look into the room to see what was happening. Mireya had a ponytail of brownish blonde hair that fell elegantly to the nape of her neck. Stray strands framed her face, but she wore them carefreely. In the sunlight, her hair shimmered with a golden bronze tones. Her hazel eyes sparkled with warmth, and she was dressed in a crisp white button-up shirt paired with black pants and suspenders, creating a striking and stylish appearance. Mireya paused just outside the door, her hand resting lightly on the cool metal handle, peering into the break room. The break room was a stark contrast to most of the studio, with its hard-tiled floors gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The glossy tiles mirrored the brightness, giving the space an almost sterile feel. Sturdy hardwood doors closed off the room from the bustling corridors, offering a slight sense of privacy that was usually exclusive in the studio. The plain navy wallpaper enveloped the room, creating an intimate but somewhat claustrophobic atmosphere. A small round table sat in the center, surrounded by mismatched chairs that added a touch of character to the otherwise simple decor. A coffee machine hummed quietly in the corner, its surface cluttered with mugs and a half-opened box of granola bars. Posters of past projects decorated the walls, adding splashes of color against the dark navy. But they couldn't fully mask the feeling of confinement. The air held a faint sense of brewed coffee and stale snacks, making it clear that this was a space for quick breaks rather than relaxation. Overall, the break room felt like a tiny island of respite amidst the busy chaos of the studio. Mireya looked over to see who was making a racket and saw two of the employees whose names she hadn't memorized yet. "Hey, I think the A&R division can hear you," Mireya told them in a quiet but yet loud enough voice for them to hear her. The two employees stopped arguing and looked at her. They seemed to be from the music department, though Mireya couldn't be sure. Almost everyone around here looked the same. "You know, if I can hear you from the art department side of the building." "She's quite right. The A&R division can probably hear you," someone from behind Mireya added. Mireya turned around and saw Audrey, an old friend of hers. It was hard not to forget who Audrey was. She was the daughter of Joey Drew, the man behind the little devil everyone adored so much. Audrey had brown hair, almost the color of milk chocolate, and pale gray eyes, almost like a sky with a few clouds in it. She wore a white shirt with slightly puffy sleeves, black pants, and shoes. "Now, Micheal and Amy, don't you two have lyrics to write for the music department? I know Jason would be pleased to find out you spent all your time arguing over what song to write lyrics for. Just do the one that's required sooner than the others." Mireya had no idea how Audrey remembered names so easily, though she was glad Audrey was here so she wouldn't make a fool of herself and have to ask Micheal and Amy for their names again. Micheal and Amy nodded, and reluctantly headed out of the break room back to the music department. not wanting to get in trouble with their music director, Jason Harris. Audrey looked over at Mireya and raised an eyebrow. Are you going to stand there, Mir, or are you going to walk inside? Audrey asked, and Mireya quickly realized she was probably in the way of Audrey, so she quickly moved out of her way and walked into the break room. Audrey following close behind before going to the coffee machine. Sorry about that, Odds. I didn't realize you needed to be here, Mireya told her, rubbing the back of her head and looking at the ground slightly. She was still feeling pretty awkward. If I'm being honest with you, you kind of saved me from having to ask their names again. For the 10th time? Well, this past 2 weeks? Audrey guessed, pouring some water into the kettle. Not bad after all, you only started this job, what, 3, 4-ish months ago? Feels like it could have been the 100th time. But yeah, everyone looks so similar. You're the only one I know here. Mireya sighed. You've been here for what, 5 years? 3, Audrey corrected Mireya. Okay, 3 years. And I can say that you're the only person I can recognize in this place, Mireya admitted before sighing. Other than Wilson. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. I feel you. He's unsettling, to say the least. Audrey agreed, shaking her head as she put the kettle onto the burner to heat the water. Well, I have 100 more frames to go, if I'm not mistaken. Better get to it after I finish this coffee. Yeah, I should probably not distract you. I was on my way to deliver something to... What's his name? The music director. Mireya paused, trying to remember the director's name. Jason Harris? Yeah, him. I need to drop off some papers that were meant for the music department to him. Mireya replied before sighing. What would I ever do without you, Odds? Probably forget every single name in the studio within the first 5 seconds and have to awkwardly ask for the name again. Audrey shrugged as she puts the AeroPress onto her mug and puts the coffee grounds into it. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. Mireya laughed before tightening her grip on the papers. Anyways, I'll go deliver the papers and then clock out. See you next week, Audrey. Audrey looked at Mireya and smiled, wishing her a good weekend, and resumed making her coffee.